scientist. She is an expert in police procedure regarding forensic evidence collection, preservation, processing, and storage, and spent 15 years working on active crime scenes. Also criminal defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Michael Sterling. As a former federal prosecutor, he led investigations and prosecuted criminal cases. He's also part of a new group recently organized in Georgia for attorneys to volunteer their time for social justice issues in the wake of the George Floyd case. It is called Atlanta Justice Lawyers, and retired and we want to thank both of you for being with us here today. I want to start with playing a piece that we got from our affiliate out of New York, WPIX. Let's watch it and talk about it after. Take a look.
There's not a police officer over here that thinks Minnesota was justified.
A powerful show of support from the highest-ranking uniformed member of the NYPD. Chief Terrence Monahan took a knee Monday at Washington Square Park while hugging George Floyd protesters at an organized demonstration.
Do not let people who are not from this city have you come here and screw up your city.
Chief Monahan calling on more controlled marches to keep away outside groups he says are causing the looting and trouble at night, problems which prompted city leaders to impose a curfew. Monday night's curfew began at 11 and will go into effect again tonight at 8 as NYPD doubles its police presence to help prevent violence and property damage.
The curfew is to help us separate the peaceful protesters, which are the overwhelming majority, from people who are looking to exploit the moment by looting, etc. But the majority of people are making a very valid point.
Leaders across the city throwing their support behind protesters who are marching for justice in memory of Floyd and other victims who've died at the hands of police officers. But NYC public advocate Jamani Williams says a curfew isn't the solution to the problem.
From the beginning of the protest, the first day I was here, we said there was too much of an oppressive force. It was going to cause more tension. This curfew, 11 o'clock, comes with 4,000 additional police officers on the streets. When will we learn that we will not arrest our way out of all these problems?
All right, Jennifer, I want to start with you. The world of criminal justice is vast. There are many people of every belief, every race involved in the process of criminal justice. Right now, though, there's a lot of anger being directed towards the system, if you will. Give us a sense of what you see on the streets, what you feel looking at the death of George Floyd, and your knowledge of the system and the good people that are in the system, along with maybe some bad apples.
Well, you know, it's an interesting time. I have 4 children, all of whom are young adults, and they have a very significant, at least strong reaction to this. I work in law enforcement. I work at a police department with police officers every day. I am teaching a class that has young students in it of all races, creeds, and colors, and so I'm getting a really broad perspective of how people feel. I can tell you myself personally, I know so many police officers that go out there every day and they try so hard to build community relationships and have dialogues and help people. And then when something like this happens, that shows that the problem is still there. It's not gone. It breaks my heart. And this particular incident was it was just so horrifying on so many levels that I'm still struggling to even wrap my brain around it. But I'm listening to my family, I'm listening to my fellow police officers, and we are united, all of us, in knowing we have to go forward and do something. We have to do something, and maybe this will be the thing that puts us on the path to ending this sort of behavior forever. But it's really traumatic. My own city, my own towns are struggling with this, and with the rioting, the looting, etc. So it's just traumatizing.
Michael Sterling, when you see police chiefs kneeling, we've seen several across the country, with protesters, does that go a long way, or is it too little too late?
No, I certainly think it's a step in the right direction. I think it is an acknowledgement by those police chiefs and police officers that the frustration is real. And those of us who have worked in law enforcement, we understand that the system still has a long way to go, that we want America to be as good as it's promised, that everybody should be treated equally under the law. But regardless of those police actions, it does go a long way. There are still systemic issues that Ted, that exists in our criminal justice system. You're 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder if you're a black man. You have a 25% chance of having an encounter with law enforcement just because you're born as a black American. And so there are still systemic issues that exist within our criminal justice system. And so while the actions of these police chiefs and the progression that we're making are steps in the right direction, we have to make very, very serious adjustments, moves, legislation, policies that make our system more equal. Because at the end of the day, what I think this movement is really going to be about is trying to make our country as good as it's promised.
And that's the long game, and we've been down this road before, and we haven't seen a lot of change, which is why the waters of the dam build, and it breaks from time to time. In the short term, though, what can be done to quell people's anger where the president wants force? He's looking at that as an option. You have different cities taking different tactics, using the National Guard. Frankly, there are officers in danger. I mean, there's time after time. In fact, the video in New York where there's cops that are hit by a vehicle by looters. What's your take on what should be done in the short term to protect everybody and have it safe, but also allow people their voice? Jennifer.
Well, that's a great question. And I think if that was an easy answer, we would have fixed this problem by now. But, I've spoken to a lot of my fellow police officers, and one of the things they tell me is that building relationships with your community is absolutely so important. That if you have a strong relationship with your community and they trust you and they know you and they see you, that you can work through some of these things a little better. And the other thing is that you need to continue to have conversations every day. And, I was told by one of the people I work with, one of the officers that I work with, that I should look at that tape. I should watch that incident from one end to the other and own it and live it and feel it, because only then can I really involve myself in conversations that are meaningful to helping us come up with some sort of solution. So for me, from my perspective, we have to get through this short-term period right now where we're sort of dividing out the rioting and the violence and the looting that doesn't really have anything to do with the hundreds of thousands of protesters that have a very strong message that we need to be listening to. We need to get through this time, and then we need to have conversations. And I agree, meaningful change, whatever that looks like, it has to happen.
Michael, short term, should we be more aggressive? Should police